don't know if you've ever been to a professional handball tournament. I had the opportunity to go to one when I was 13 at the Willamette Athletic Club, the site of my first date with Jeannie. We had been going out for quite a while. We met 3.5 weeks before at church camp. And on the first full day, our second day there at lunch, a really pretty blonde girl slid a little note onto my tray at lunch. I read it. It said, essentially, "Hi, I think you're cute. Do you have a girlfriend? Would you like a girlfriend? Reply to the hutch." The hutch is where you put notes for people if you never went to Camp Tapawingo. I instantly checked with the gentleman I was seated with. This is, 13, so these guys are dialed in. This was from Jeannie, and Jeannie, she's great. She's blonde. She was fond of Izod collared shirts, popped. She liked a lot of sports, loved handball, as I would come to find out, and just really great, really creative, and she was a twin. Kind of weird, but okay. And her twin sister, Jane, was also there. Now, Jane was great. Jane was they're identical. Slight differences. Jane's, I guess, a little shorter and always had a sort of a frowny, grumpy look. And anytime I would look at her, gave me the frowny, grumpy look. I did not like Jane. I liked Jeannie. Jeannie liked me. So I immediately reply, thank you. I was cute. I do not have a girlfriend. Yes, I would like a girlfriend. And that was it. I had a girlfriend after lunch. That's how it works. How it also works is that you spend the next week sort of trying to make eyes, because the girls at this thing run in giant packs, and they're insulated by other girls who are not interested in dating guys and don't like the idea of their friends dating guys. They don't want that to happen. So you try to bump into them at the Polar Bear Swims. You try to, you do what you can. But basically, we just became pen pals. And we wrote several letters a day to each other, and it became really nice. And then on the day we left, we were going to finally talk. We were going to say goodbye to each other. And no, because grumpy Jane came up and threw a letter in my hand, almost said something, and then took off saying, "Sorry, had to leave. Call me when you get home." So it was the longest 3-hour drive home. I called, she answered, we talked for hours. And this went on for weeks. Every day I would call her and we would talk for several hours. And we made plans. She lived in Vancouver, which was awful. I lived in Beaverton, which is also awful. And so we're 13, we don't drive. What are we going to do? Well, don't worry, because the top Egyptian handball player is going to be in Beaverton at the end of August. She's going to go down with her handball team. Did I want to go? Well, of course, I'm now a huge fan of handball. Of course, I already have my ticket. I didn't know if you had to buy tickets. I lied. But I said, of course, I'm going to go. And I said, "Dad, I need you to take me to this handball tournament." And he said, "No, I won't do that." I said, "Dad," and I explained why. And he said, "This is great. Tell me about this girl." I'm like, "She's amazing." And I told her all about her, and I said, "We have these long talks, and she's so wonderful, and I think I love her." He said, "Have you told her that?" And I said, "Well, of course." And he's like, "Okay, you shouldn't do that." Takes me to the handball tournament. It's overcast and it's really muggy out, and I don't know how to dress nice for a handball tournament, so I'm sort of like half and half, khaki pants and like just a playful athletic top, and I get in there and I order a root beer, and I'm nervous and I don't know anybody, and for the world's reigning Egyptian handball guy, there was like 15 people there, and I still don't quite know what I watched, but he did things with a ball in his hand, and he did this for quite a while, and the 15 people were entranced. And then a team of girls and a team of boys competed against one another. And they were just doing this back, and I didn't know what was happening, but I was applauding, and there was Jeannie, red, popped, And I'm pretty sure she did well. I can't say, I don't know who won. But I only had 3 hours there, and after about 2 hours, there was a break in the action, and I was sitting up near the back, and I was like, okay, here we go. And then all of a sudden, Jane starts running up towards me, and I'm like, oh, great. Frowny, terrible Jane. And she runs up, and she plants a huge kiss on my face. And I said, what? And she's like, I'm so glad you came. What did you think? And I looked at her and her name badge that said Jeannie, and I realized I had been in love with the wrong twin. And I didn't understand, and it started to make sense that her notes talked about how powerfully shy she was and all these things. And all I thought was, not the frowny-faced, horrible Jane. I love the other one. And I said, but you're Jane. And she said, guttural sound. And then she cried, and then she ran off. And then the love of my life, Jeannie, came up to me, called me a creep, and said, David, you better leave. She didn't even know my name. I had one more root beer, and my dad showed up, and as everyone was filing out, and I got in the car with him, and he said, how did it go? And I said, okay. And he's like, well, looking at the people, he's like, well, which one is she? And I said, I really don't know. Thank you.